Highlanders and Force, round two of Super Rugby Trans-Tasman. Highlanders get the win, 25 points to 15. It's one where I don't think either side is going to walk away from this one particularly satisfied, especially the Highlanders with that final Force try, essentially removing the bonus point that the Highlanders had in the bag. Ash Dixon pretty much just said as much in the post-match interview. But yeah, we'll go over the match, some of the stats, and what you guys thought about the match. Now, for the Force, remember this was their final home game of the Trans-Tasman season, so their defence needed to be good, and I think it was pretty good, although they did concede 4 tries. Aaron Smith was doing his best to set people up, and that's just the kind of thing that you know is coming, and then it's kind of hard to deal with because he is just world class. He is able to fixate defenders and then just set up the next man. But I would, they conceded 25 points. I wouldn't say it's too bad. Their defensive coach may have issues with some of their defense, but I thought overall not too bad. The attack continues to be a bit hit and miss, although it did get better in the second half. They couldn't get a losing bonus point, and they couldn't get a win. I would have thought, getting a win at home before you go on the road is kind of crucial. They couldn't take advantage of it, but I guess they did finish the side the stronger of the two. Maybe that travel factor kicking in for the Highlanders, I don't know. The Highlanders, they certainly got the win, but they missed out on that bonus point, and they missed out on really being able to break down the Force's defence. Like, they didn't really carve them up. Like I said, they scored 4 tries, they conceded 2. So, yeah, in the scheme of things, it was just kind of in the middle, which is, nobody's a massive winner in this one. Obviously, the Highlanders win the game, but whether it's enough in the scheme of things could be a bit of a question. The Force actually started with a bit of a hiss and a roar. They went like 15 phases in the Highlanders half before eventually the Highlanders won a turnover. Nadeki's try on 12 minutes was a proper bit of magic. Line-out move. The Landers love their set pieces, man. You can't give them opportunities like that. Line-out move. Aaron Smith just locks in a defender and just gets the ball away. It sounds so simple, but the way he engages the defence to commit to defending him just gives him space to set the next guy up. So 7 points to 0. Unfortunately for McIntyre, for the Force, he had to go off again relatively early. He fell to the ground. His head really just smashed into the ground. Bit of whiplash kind of effect. His head on the ground, which is never a good look. And his eyes were absolutely glazed over when the doctor was telling him, look right, look left, look up, look down. That's something you really don't want to see. So yeah, I would imagine he's going to have to go through some return to play protocols. Whether he's on the plane or not will be an interesting one. The Highlanders got a second try through Johnston not long later, though, after that big stoppage for McIntyre's injury. It was a maul. It was another set play. They didn't really jump at the lineup. They kept it low and just drove Johnston over before the Force defence could really set. Big power. They missed the conversion, but it's 12-0. They're looking pretty comfortable. 27 minutes, you'd think the Force had won the game the way their forwards celebrated winning a scrum penalty. Like, a good commitment for the guys. Like, if there's nothing else you say about the Force, I know there are a lot of people's kind of like second team because they do have that great underdog story about them. They won that scrum penalty and kicked it to make it 12 points to 3, so at least that's kind of more like game on. But the guys were just celebrating. You can tell the meaning it has for these players when they got that scrum penalty. But the Highlanders essentially were able to cancel that out with their own penalty about 5 minutes later, so it's 15-3. And then Gregory gets the first of his tries on 36 minutes. Again, it's another Highlanders maul. It's another time where Smith is able to lock down a defender and just get a pass away, just floats it to him. It's 20 points to 3. Just before half time, and they missed the conversion, the Highlanders, so they're unable to take it out to that 22 points. Right before the half, though, Kubeli gets a try. Thank goodness he got that try, because otherwise the game was starting to look really out of touch for the Force. If the Highlanders had scored again, it probably would have been game over by half time. But it's the Force who get it. Taofu's carrying. He's about to offload, but Dixon gets his hand in the way. The ball looks to bobble forward, but it's off Dixon's hand, so it's not a knock-on for the Force. Cabelli gathers, and he just puts the hammer down, goes under the sticks. And it all started from a line-up move of their own, actually. The Force, Oliver Fella, hit through a gap. So, yeah, really good play. So the Force up to 10 points. So only 10-point difference at halftime. That's still game on. Halftime, possession and territory is with the Highlanders, 52 and 54%. Knock-ons, the Force have had too many, 5-2. And Kyle Godwin spoke in the post-match interview about their errors, and they were there, unfortunately. Run meters is 181 to 195, so pretty even. Tackling percentage, 87% Force, 90% Highlanders. Both relatively stable. Like that maul try for Johnston, there's no missed tackles there, man. That's just absolute power. Yeah. Second half, the Highlanders really have to start defending, and maybe they are starting to get some weary legs in that second half. They are going through a lot of defence, and they are getting through some good turnovers, which is, again, a positive aspect of their play. 59 minutes, it looks like Holmes might be going to get a red card, swinging arm into Hugh Renton, but the ref rules that Renton kind of dipped into the tackle, so it's just a yellow. But from the resulting penalty, the Highlanders maul it. They go close, and Smith, again, that's that man Smith. He's able to zip a pass out to Mitch Hunt, who just tips it back inside to Gregory. Gregory's over for his second try. It's 25 points to 10. Bonus points back on the board. Highlanders looking really comfortable. They score 5 points during that yellow card. The yellow card period is looking maybe like they could have scored more during that 10 minutes. The Force actually handled it pretty well, but they could have had another one through Jimeno, but he's ruled to have been tackled and got up and gone again. So Highlanders maybe a little bit guilty of letting off some of their own chances. And then 79 minutes, Wagner gets a brutal try for the Highlanders, but obviously it's for the Force, but it's brutal for the Highlanders. Yeah, they just went through some phases and were able to go over. So brutal. The conversion goes off the post, so it finishes 25 points to 15. Takes the bonus point away from the Highlanders, which in the scheme of things, as I said, could be pretty important. Penalties conceded finish 12-9. The Force having more of those, but that counts lower than the first game tonight. Possession 57-43, territory 54-46, so that's actually shifted in the Force's favour. Knock-ons though 9-6. That's an area that the Force will like to reduce because you can't be coughing up the pill that much. They kicked it out on the full at points, so just the execution wasn't quite there. Run meters 330, 293, so the Force edged that. Tackling percentage 90 for the Force, 91 for the Highlanders. Really good effort. The Highlanders had to make about 60 more tackles at 169 to 109, so what's 50 more? Is it 60 more? 60 more. Too late for this, folks. It's 11:58 in the evening, so I need to go to bed. Naraki finishes with 87 run meters, 2 clean breaks, and 3 defenders beaten. Kahu is the best guy for the Force with like 35 run meters. So the Force don't have that kind of X-factor individual. And Oliver Fella can be pretty good, but not quite that level as yet. Tamani makes 14 out of 14 tackles. Harmon makes 18 out of 18, so some good defensive shifts as well. Remember, the Force are off to New Zealand now. They'll play the Hurricanes, although not in Wellington. They'll play them in Napier. So not quite a neutral game, but it's home away from home for the Canes. And the Highlanders are also back to New Zealand to head to Queenstown to play the Rebels. So we'll see if the travel affects both those sides. As I said, I don't think either side walks away from this game too chuffed, but the Highlanders will certainly be happy to have the win under their belt. Just 1 point short of what they would have wanted. But anyway, I'm off to bed. You guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.